We have never in our lives seen such a total collapse in support for the Liberals. Worse, we have also never seen this shocked party without an alternative leader ready to save it. There's no Tony Abbott waiting. Support for the coalition, Liberals and Nationals together, dropped in today's Newspoll to a record new low of just 18%. I mean, that's catastrophic. One Nation has now soared to 27% under Pauline Hanson, and it's now nipping at Labor's heels. Now, this is not a blip. This is not a flesh wound. This is not something that Sussan Ley, the opposition leader, can overcome by promising voters the unity she's been unable to get from the party she leads, or by yesterday finally reforming the coalition.
I think they looked at the disunity and the back and forwards and they marked us down because they saw us talking about ourselves.
No. This poll and the many recent polls like it make clear that the once great Liberal Party is now threatened with utter destruction. And Australia, by the way, with economic decline, because there's actually no easy way out for the Liberals, or maybe any way out. Not if the party does now what we're told is likely, possibly this week, this very week, and rush Defence spokesman Angus Taylor into the leadership to replace Ley. Because consider this. Why haven't the Liberals already replaced Ley with Taylor? Now, today's Newspoll shows that Ley is the most unpopular leader of a major party in 23 years. That's since Labor's Simon Crean. And it's not as if today's poll comes as a surprise. What a change! It's just the latest of months of increasingly terrible polls for the Liberals. Yet they have done nothing for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks but watch in horror. Although today's poll surely is the last straw for Ley. Liberal Senator Jane Hume, who we should say was sacked by Sussan Ley from the front bench, not surprisingly drew the obvious conclusion today. Ley just had to go.
Unless something changes, we will be wiped out. I've been looking at the numbers. I don't think that at this point there will be a single member of the House of Representatives from Victoria. There won't be a single member of the House of Representatives from New South Wales.
So the party room wants to support a strong leader, and we have wanted to support a strong leader from day one. This cannot be blamed on anyone else. It has to come back to the leadership that we are facing today.
Yet even now there's only lukewarm support among the Liberals for Angus Taylor, a Rhodes Scholar who served as a minister, as a shadow treasurer, and now shadow defence spokesman. I mean, Taylor is said to be the Liberals' conservative faction, but even some other Conservatives, supporters of Andrew Hastie, aren't sure at all that he could save the party. I think they're right. Before the last election, Taylor, as shadow treasurer, actually promised voters higher deficits for 2 years than Labor did. And that's unbelievable brand damage for a Liberal. And you look at one of the big issues that One Nation is pushing very successfully, an issue turning sour for Labor, net zero. Now, it's true that the Liberals under Sussan Ley have now dropped that target, but as Scott Morrison's Minister for Emissions Reduction, Angus Taylor, actually pushed for net zero. And what's more, Taylor banked on unproven technologies to get there. Technologies like green hydrogen, all those projects have since collapsed. In fact, his global warming plans then at times sounded much like the disastrous policies today of Labor's Energy Minister, Chris Bowen.
We know that as the cost of low emissions technologies come down, they get adopted and they bring down emissions. And we've seen that with solar. We've laid out a whole series of others, hydrogen, carbon capture and storage, regenerating our soils, low emission steel and aluminium, investing $20 billion in the technologies that will bring those emissions down, that can deliver net zero by 2050.
And that's the problem with Angus Taylor. As a leader, he will have to attack the net zero target that he once supported. He'll have to push for cuts to immigration levels below even what he and the rest of the Liberals once backed. He'll have to push for even tougher spending cuts than he promised before. And that's precisely the problem that's turning so many voters off the Liberals. What do they really stand for? What do they stand for, like Pauline Hanson has stood for her own beliefs for decades, not budging, not flapping with the wind. Now, if the Liberals want to offer change that you can believe in, it needs a leader who looks like that change. And that's why I backed Andrew Hastie, even though, yes, he's inexperienced, he's untried, he's lacking in some charm and ease. At least he means what he says. And what he says is slash immigration, scrap net zero policies, build pride in the nation, exactly what many One Nation supporters want as well. Now, choosing Taylor may be the change without a difference. But in saying all this, that the Liberals are doomed without profound and believable change, let's not forget the real message in the polls. What we're seeing is fundamentally a revolt against the Albanese government, yes, and the politics as usual from both sides that's made Australians poorer and more divided, that's made housing too expensive for our young, that's made Australia weaker and deeper in debt. Because look again at this Newspoll. Look at the Labor vote. Now, even with no competition from the rabble that calls itself a coalition, Labor has still fallen to just 33% of the vote. 2/3 of Australians don't want Labor. They want to vote for someone else. But they have found the Liberals to be unworthy of their vote on past performance and present disarray. So of course they've switched to One Nation. That's a no-brainer. Pauline Hanson and her star recruit Barnaby Joyce, the former Deputy Prime Minister, they know One Nation has still got a long way to go to turn this massive support today into votes at an election tomorrow.
Now, I'm not going to for 1 second say that, oh, well, they're all going to vote One Nation. No, they're not. But they're turning up to listen and to consider, and the polling also reflects that as well.
But One Nation is not standing still. I'm told they will have 2 more reasonably big recruits joining them over the next couple of months. It will create some news, and if the the coalition vote really together, if that keeps falling, there may be more of them. Maybe Liberal Senator Alex Antic, maybe Nationals MP Lou Edwards and others. And that is why some Labor MPs are suddenly sounding a bit scared themselves. They are going from gloating at the Liberals' collapse to suddenly worrying that One Nation may now be coming for them. You take Jerome Luxell today, now demanding that the Liberals help stop One Nation, not give it preferences that might help it get elected.
I would say 2 things to the Liberal Party. Is one, stop legitimising One Nation and far-right politics. Right? The second thing is stop racing to the right to try and copycat them.
Now, if that's Labor's advice, I suggest the Liberals doing the exact opposite. Do that, or else be wiped out, and then see Labor keep destroying this country.